After a landmark big money acquisition, the Roxxon Age of Comics is set to begin now. What happens when Thor, God of Thunder, becomes the ultimate corporate hero? Well, let's hop into the pages of Roxxon Presents Thor issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so if I can allow you to peek behind the curtain for a second, I had actually planned a whole little meta bit here about how, oh, Roxxon let me read the comic early, oh, they bought me and totally got to me, guys. But then I actually read the book and it's already so incredibly meta and so incredibly fourth wall breaking. If I was to do that joke, it would just be putting a hat on a hat. So yeah, for those playing along at home, Roxxon has actually bought Marvel in-universe and they have decided to tinker around with the Thor concept. We're treated to a reworked version of his origin wherein we learn via Odin that whole going to Earth and needing to learn about humility thing, yeah, that was really a test, because why should Thor ever have to learn about humility? He is a god and the world lives to serve the needs of the gods, right? And now that Thor is finally worthy, he is ready to continue on with the next phase of his life, going to Earth and getting a job in the tech industry. Which will of course require him to cut his big long hippie hair and adopt a much more streamlined costume if he is ever going to succeed in the realms of AI hedge funds. Ugh, that is just disgusting to say. Also, his alter ego isn't Donald Blake anymore, it's Chad Hammer, and if that seems incredibly on the nose, that's actually the point. In fact, all of the dialogue in this story is meant to read as not only incredibly stilted, but super simplistic too. Earth isn't called Midgard, it's called Earthgard because some dummy might not understand the reference. In fact, one of the biggest, most pointed bits of commentary in this story is that this book seems to think all comic readers are stupid because it stops every couple of pages to not only clutter the page with a brand new definition, but also to remind you that the story is continued on the next page, because hey, market research tells us that there's probably a good chunk of people out there who don't know to read a comic. You have to actually keep turning the pages. Also, Thor Presents Roxxon doesn't actually fly anymore. Why would he need to do that when he has a brand new Roxxon Cybertruck? A joke that is somehow even more hilarious and even more topical than I'm sure it was when Ewing wrote it, because as I record this video right now, all the real Tesla Cybertrucks keep getting recalled. And why yes, the Thor truck sucks just as much. In fact, it doesn't even have handles, meaning the only way that Thor can get inside it is by using the app built into his hammer. And once the God of Thunder finally figures out all of his different accounts, he's able to make his way back to Roxxon HQ, where he sees, gasp, a bunch of young protesters who seem to not like him and his best friends at Roxxon. Well, this won't stand. Thor will probably need to brutalize them with a bolt of lightning and quick, unless their insidious ideology of wanting better for themselves and the world around them begin to spread. Actually, a good chunk of this issue is basically just Thor and the other Roxxon goons messing up young peaceful protesters in, once again, probably something that is hitting way more topical this week especially than I'm sure Al Ewing intended when he wrote it originally. God, the only thing we're missing is these kids' faculty actually dropping a dime on them to Roxxon in the first place. Also, speaking of Roxxon, in this brand new world, not only are they Chad Hammer's employers, but Dario the Minotaur is actually Thor's bestest bud and confidant. Gotta love too that Dario's own vanity is showing, because when he tells his story, he actually looks like how he used to before he got absolutely mangled in the Immortal Hulk book. Agar goes on a whole speech too about what are we supposed to do with the wayward youth of America? It's almost like they don't think hyper-capitalism is working for them or something. Oh sure, Roxxon may end up cutting years off the planet's life, but I mean, think how enjoyable those years will be, filled with so many great products you can buy right now. Thor tells Dario not to blame the kids, surely their minds have been clouded by the will of his evil brother Loki. And again, I love from a meta standpoint that Loki has actually been on the straight and narrow for a while now in the main comic universe, so when Roxxon got the chance to rewrite things, they recast him as the villain. And hey, if protesting didn't work for the God of Lies, what's his next course of action? Well, we're going to weaponize cancel culture against Thor and Roxxon. Yes, my minions. Go and write scathing 10-hour video essays about how much Thor sucks. Yes, pollute all the feeds with my venom. Not that pollution is real. I mean, I know that, but you don't know that. Muhahaha. To try and track down his brother and his hippie commune, Thor goes to re-establish the Broskis 3. A team made up of Scourge the Executioner, as well as the Enchantress, who is the only woman in the book, meaning she is actively lusted after by every other man in the book, including Heimdall, who in this universe isn't the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, he is instead the keeper of the Rainbow Hyperhighway. I didn't actually know what a hyperhighway was, I had to look it up, and now I'm depressed. Thor asks for Heimdall's help in hunting down his evil brother wherever he's hiding, and Heimdall is able to assist, not using his amazing sight, but instead using his brand new Roxxon phone, whose brand new built-in AI assistant is much more useful than any god sight, which means our corporate heroes are able to track down Loki and his commune, though they say they're able to sniff him out because, again, smelly hippies, who, while they may not know the true meaning of a hard day's work, maybe they can reap the benefits of Roxxon's brand new shower gel. It's Enchantress, approved, so surely it must be good, right boys? It's after that a big old fight scene ends up breaking out, but here's where things get really interesting. The comic ends up pulling back and we can see the real Thor in the real world reading the events of this story. And how the longer this charade goes on, the more and more Thor's own story and real life is actually corrupted by the events here taking place in fiction. And if all of that isn't meta enough or fourth wall breaking enough for you, don't worry, because it's at that point Dario Agger ends up speaking directly to the reader, wherein he goes on a massive tirade about the trap that is self-parody, basically saying, hey, have you been enjoying the comic so far? You've been having a lot of fun, right? All these inside baseball jokes about the comic industry are pretty funny, right? Well, you know that's the point, right? If we make fun of ourselves first, that means we defang any actual real criticism that could be thrown our way. In fact, self-parody is a brilliant tactic that real-world evil companies use to launder their own insidious agendas without you even knowing it. You all just laugh and share the panels on social media and make your stupid YouTube videos. Little do you know, you're actually helping us seem more relatable and more likable, because anyone who makes you laugh couldn't possibly be evil, could they? Holy shit, this book, man, let me tell you. Now, back in the Roxxon comics story, Thor and his friends are able to win the day and defeat Loki's protesters by, get this, putting on some Roxxon VR goggles so that they can see through Loki's own illusions before eventually just electrocuting everyone with Roxxon drones. Yes, that's right, everybody. Product synergy literally saved the day in this one. How about that? That's all a pretty savage gut punch, but leave it to Al Ewing to actually save the harshest criticism for the very end. You see, Thor is back with his father Odin talking about everything that's happened, and the whole thing ends in a wishy-washy, both-sidesy bit of moralism where Thor says, oh, you know, I think those young kids, they didn't have it totally wrong, but I don't know how to make the world better. Only for Agger to completely take over the story, saying, well, you know, Thor, these things happen slowly, we can't possibly make the world all better at once, and here's your big cash bonus for a job well done. Tax-free, of course, because taxes are for suckers. And so that was Roxxon Presents Thor issue number 1, everybody. And if you couldn't tell, I absolutely loved this issue. In fact, this might be one of the best single issues I've read in a very long time. Leave it to Al Ewing to craft a perfectly topical, perfectly meta, scathing indictment of the modern comic industry in the age of corporate synergy. And you know what? The whole thing just kind of works. In fact, in the hands of a lesser writer, this very well could have come off mean-spirited. And yet it doesn't, because you can tell from the very beginning that Al Ewing and everyone involved in this project absolutely loves comics as a storytelling medium and is afraid of a future wherein corporate overlords and an uncaring industry might strip mine all the fun and love out of it and turn it into, well, what this was here, just a commercial masquerading as a story. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna rush the comment section and be like, wow, this book really gave it to Disney, but honestly, it could be any corporation that Ewing is talking about here right now. Because sadly, they're all like this. In fact, there was actually a really great comment in my last Thor video wherein someone was shocked that an actual corporation would let a book with this much scathing criticism get released on their watch. And you know what the saddest truth of all is? Of course a book like this would come out for the simple answer that no one at any corporate level at Disney or Amazon or any of these other companies are actually watching and paying attention. And even if they did, what do they care? We're still buying this, we're still consuming it and sharing it. They still win no matter what we do because the game has always been rigged. Hell, Amazon is probably honestly as close to a real-life Roxxon as we're going to get, and they make The Boys and now Fallout, two series that are all about skewering corporate greed and how it might very well kill the entire world, but they don't care because they're getting rich off the back of it. I could really talk about this one forever, and I'm kind of rambling at this point, but yes, this one gets a perfect 10 out of 10. This one was excellent from start to finish, a perfect continuation of what's going on in the main Thor book, a perfect raising of the stakes, and actually a book that I think might actually be able to live even in the future completely separate from this run. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.